Hello, everybody. Hang tight with us. We're going live in about 4 minutes. 4 minutes we'll be going live. Good evening, Ruth. If you're just joining us tonight, please let us know where you're coming from. Join us on the chat. Please go to the Moments That Matter Facebook page or YouTube channel and come in from there. It'll be a much more clean chat, and I can see that live. So starting in about 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes. Again, so good to have you guys join us. We'll be starting, as you can see, in about 4.5 minutes, just a little over 4.5 minutes. Adam, it's great to see you guys. Bobby, Anderson, hello. Ruth, if you guys can, join us over from the Moments That Matter Facebook page. Join in like that because I can see that chat a little bit better. I don't have to look at my phone. Awesome that you're coming to us from Alaska, or Adam, I guess you saw me speak in Alaska a few years back. That's awesome. So glad to have you guys join us. Please, again, comment where you're coming from, who you are. We got about 30 people on so far on one channel and about 2,000 on the other. So we're going to focus on the Moments That Matter Facebook page. Go there and we will start again as the clock counts down. We're at about 4 minutes away until we go live. Very excited to have you guys on board for tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is going to be becoming a beacon of hope. Here it is right here. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. Here again, we're going to be starting. Again, there's about 34, 35 people on the Chat Hymas page. Go to the Moments That Matter. We have several thousand people waiting there, and that's where I'm going to be focusing, chatting back and forth. Heather, hello from Arkansas. Jan, Tolar, Texas, good to have you on board. Go over to the Moments That Matter page, you guys, please, if you can, so that I can see that without looking at my iPad or my cell phone, and I can visit with you guys direct. We'll be starting in about, let's go over here. Countdown clock tells us 3.5 minutes, guys. We're 3.5 minutes out, so talk to you soon. Hey everybody, thanks again. If you're just joining us, coming on, we're starting in about 2 minutes, just a little over 2 minutes before we begin. Feel free to click over to the Moments That Matter Facebook page, as that's where I'll be able to see people on a big screen in front of me without having to look down at an iDevice on either Facebook, Chad Hymas' Facebook page, or Chad Hymas Instagram. So man, click over, go over to Moments That Matter, like that page, join us there. Thanks so much for following us all on the Chad Hymas page. We are trying to make a difference on this Moments That Matter channel, so check in there. And I'm excited to talk to you about tonight's topic, which is right here, becoming a beacon of hope. We're going to talk about that and give you some ideas, and I'm going to show it to you live what that looks like. So again, thanks for joining us. We're just a little over a minute away, and we will begin. Can't wait. Hey everybody, good evening. We are right on time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Eastern. It's great to be here with all of you. I'm inside the studio at the ranch at Royal Creek Ranches. Feel free to check that on the website. Also, thank you for joining us from our Moments That Matter live site. If you haven't joined us on that platform, please go to Moments That Matter over on Facebook or on YouTube. And you can see this live broadcasted there. And the reason why I ask you to do that is I'm better able to connect and engage with you all because I can see a massive screen, actually several screens where I can see people that are online. So see people coming in from all over the world tonight on this channel. And so please feel free to give us your name and let us know where you're coming from. If you have any questions or have any comments, feel free to chat those in the chat box because I can see those live right in front of me without having to have somebody come into me from an earpiece or having me to look at it on an iDevice on my lap. So with that, I'm excited to share with you tonight's topic, you guys. I'm really excited about this. This is I've been asked several times about how I got to speak and and having hope during challenging times. And so our title tonight is right there. It's Becoming a Beacon of Hope. And I want to add a little piece to that, becoming a beacon of hope during adversity or during challenging times. And I want to share with you kind of what that looks like. In order for me to let me go to a different camera here. In order for me to kind of explain that to you and how I want to do that, I need to take you back to before my accident. And I'll probably show a little clip of that accident tonight as well. But prior to my accident, my dad's name is Kelly. My dad and I have always been really close. And I'm the oldest of four. So I have two younger brothers, and I have a younger sister who is since crossed the other side of the veil as well. Her name was Brianna, and Brianna's left us way too young, but she did leave behind two beautiful children that we get to enjoy today. So with that said, tonight's topic is very, very pertinent and relevant to me as it becomes to becoming a beacon of hope. My dad went to this conference in Dallas, Texas, and while he was at this conference, he did something that is uncharacteristic of my father. My dad enjoyed the conference so much that he bought some merchandise from a table outside of the keynote speakers room. So he went into the bar. My dad was an insurance salesman, by the way, so kind of remember that. My dad went to his insurance salesman conference, and he bought something, which is not like my dad. I mean, my dad's kind of tight would be a very, very nice word to say, and when it comes to finances. My dad's very, very frugal, which is good. That's not a bad thing. He's just not gonna buy somebody's book or tape. That's not like him. My dad does it then. Only back then it wasn't a CD or a DVD. They didn't have them. 20 years ago, it was called a VHS. I know some of you young people don't even have any idea what a VHS is. Most of us nowadays don't even know what a DVD is, but we know what Netflix is. So my dad buys this guy's tape and his book, and my dad brings it home. My dad tries to get me and my wife, now remember, this is before my accident. This is prior to my injury. My dad, in fact, I got a picture of what my dad saw. So let me see if I can show this to you guys. This is the keynote speaker at my dad's event. This is a picture my dad took from his seat. So check this out. My dad took this picture. There it is. That's the picture my dad took right there. Look at that. So my dad's sitting, my dad loved this talk. Look at the guy's hand. And he's also sitting in a wheelchair. That might be a little bit hard to tell, but he is in a chair. And my dad took that photograph, and he brought that photograph home. And back then, I wasn't in a wheelchair. I wasn't paralyzed. And my dad tried to get me and his siblings, my siblings, and his children over to his house to watch this guy's VHS tape. Never would happen. We were too busy. We just never went over. I know that sounds kind of sad, doesn't it? It kind of sounds like it's, I don't know, the cat in the cradle, song. And my dad always made time for us when we were kids. And here we couldn't get over to my dad's house to watch a guy's tape that my dad just wanted us to see. Well, here's the deal. 3 months later, my dad's oldest son would break his neck out in the field of a farm while living a dream. So I was living a dream. I break my neck in the field, and I find myself numb. I wake up a few weeks later in a coma, and when you're in a coma and you wake up, you really don't have any say about what your dad puts in front of you to watch. Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, you just don't have any say. So my dad rolls in this cart, kind of like you'd see at a school library back then, or a church library, with a big, massive TV. No, we're not talking a flat screen, and this huge VCR that plays VHS tapes. My dad puts in the tape, and that guy that I just showed you, this guy pops up on the screen. That's him. he's talking. He's talking, and I can tell you all that I don't remember too much about what he said. I don't remember what his message was. I don't recall. All I know is that there was this beacon of hope right in front of my face. Not this hope that I could get dressed or feed myself or even be married again, but there was this hope that I could be happy. Because if you look at his face, look close. What do you notice about his face? Help me out, Maddie. Tell me what you notice, Maddie. Kevin, Connie, Kevin, Mo. Good to see you, buddy. Jan, Heather, what do you guys notice about his face? I mean, I want you to comment back. I'd love to hear from you. What do you notice about his face that is so glowing in that picture that my dad took from his table in Dallas, Texas at the Hyatt Regency Hotel? What do you notice about his face? It's very, very powerful. He's smiling. And at the hospital, I was not. I was not happy. I mean, Heather, you're right. He's got a massive smile. And I was not happy in the hospital. And so that's the hope that was instilled in me. It was so powerful that I had to hit rewind, because back then you don't click a button. You have to hit the rewind button, and it takes like 20 minutes for it to rewind the tape, and then you watch it all over. I watched that footage, that tape, over and over and over again, and it was better than any opioid. It was better than any drug. It was just inspiration, and it kept feeding me that maybe I could be happy with these numb hands too. So I asked my dad for more medicine. I'm not talking about aspirin or Advil or Lortab or whatever the heck it is they give you. I wasn't asking for that kind of medicine. What kind of medicine did I want? I wanted more of this guy. I wanted whatever I could get. I mean, Dad, what can you get me? Dad, I need to see different stuff, more stuff. I guess they say once you get hooked on some drugs, then it doesn't become. I can totally relate to that. I've never been a drug addict per se, but I've been addicted to this guy. And once I got hooked on him, I couldn't get enough. I had to have more of him. And so I just became an Art Berg. That was his name, I found out on the tape. His name was Art Berg. I found out by watching that tape that he was happily married. His wife's name is Dallas. They had 2 children. Dalton and Kinsey were their names. And I found out this guy set a world record in his wheelchair. He pushed from Salt Lake City to St. George. And I also found out this guy was a speaker. Now remember, I was a farmer. I wasn't a speaker. I broke my neck on the farm. And but I never wanted to be a speaker either. I just wanted to be happy, and I wasn't happy. It was very, very difficult for me to be happy being trapped. Some of you all know what I'm talking about right now, because COVID has just put you in a place where you feel like you're isolated. You can't go to school. They've canceled football. They've canceled dances. And so many of you can relate to me on a very, very personal level. You don't have to be numb physically to understand what paralysis feels like. So I hope that you and I can relate. I want to show you how you can turn this into something absolutely miraculous and marvelous. My dad called up Art's office to get more drugs. Remember, we're not talking about opioids or Lortab. We're talking about, do you have any more tapes? Do you have any more books? I mean, do you have any? What do you have? Because my son needs it. My son wants more Art Berg. So my dad ordered it from Donnie. Donnie was Art's executive assistant. So my dad ordered it from Donnie. And here's the cool part. Now listen, we had no idea. We had no idea. We got this shipment the next day. And this dude delivered it. So he's no longer a speaker, but he's also a postman. I mean, he's also, you're right, Denny, it was Art Berg. I mean, so he's no longer a speaker. He's no longer a dad. This guy is a delivery person, an influencer of hope. This guy doesn't hand it off to somebody else and say, hey, take this to the hospital to the guy that's hurt in room number 248. This guy does it himself. Comes into my hospital. Let me change cameras. He comes into my hospital room, and I recognize him right off the bat, and I just kind of start breaking down into tears. Because to me, this is like the second coming. I mean, it's like seeing, I know, but that's what it was like for me. It was like having this Savior come into my room, even though he was paralyzed. But I didn't look at him like that, because his glow, his countenance, his aurora showed me something completely different, and it was inspiring, and it gave me hope. He was truly a beacon, a light for me. And so I I watched him, and he didn't say anything at first. Really, he just kind of wheeled in. He put the baggie full of VHS tapes and his other books, and he had a signed poster for me, too, of when he set that world record. He put that off to the side, and he transferred himself. I know. I mean, I'm thinking, this guy's moving, and he's 95% numb like me. And he moved himself from his wheelchair to my hospital bed, and my bed's like a single. We're not talking a king or a queen or a double. I mean, you know how those hospital beds are, especially in the intensive care unit. The bar comes down, he puts the bar down, and he leaps up onto my bed right by my side. And I'm just kind of watching. I'm thinking, you know, what's going on here? And he begins to undress. Now, please stay with me on this, because this is powerful. It's not perverted. It's not, he's undressing with long johns underneath to give me hope, to show me that I could do that too, even though my hands were curled. So this guy doesn't just talk the talk. He doesn't give lip service. Do you know how easy that would have been to just send his wife or maybe his executive assistant to the hospital there in Salt Lake and just deliver this package to this guy? Or how about this? Don't even send anybody. Just ship it. Just ship it. Hey, we had an office come in today for $70. You know, let's get this off in the mail today. This guy doesn't charge me for anything. He comes to the hospital, hops onto my bed, and he takes off his jeans and a hoodie without any use of his fingers. I hope you guys see the power in this and see the lack, not perversion, inspiration and hope. He gets dressed, and we chat for maybe 7 to 10 minutes. He didn't stay very long. In fact, I remember it being short because I didn't want him to go. How would it be to be that kind of a person in your life where when you left the table at dinner time, people were sad to see you get up and leave because they loved you being around? How would that be if when we visit family that they didn't want to see you leave because you don't even have to be the life of the party. Just you bring people light, love, hope. That's what he was. He wasn't the life of the party. He wasn't an extrovert. He wasn't loudmouthed. He wasn't. He was so bright and full of love and giving that he was like the Savior for me. He left, and I popped in his tapes immediately. I just started watching them. A few months later, I was released from the hospital. He called me up and invited me to his house. I know. It's unreal. And back then, there's no Facebook, there's no YouTube, there's no StreamYard, there's no way to like him on social media. All there is a website, artberg.com. Art, A-R-T-B-E-R-G. That's the only way I could reach him. And so I just kind of followed him, and I found out he was a speaker. He traveled the world. I met his wife that night. Shondell went with me. My wife went with me, and we met with him and his beautiful children, and it was absolutely incredible. The way this guy was a beacon of hope for me. Oh, it gets even better. This was 2001. Does anybody know who won the Super Bowl in 2001? This plays a significant part in the story. Who won the Super Bowl in 2001, 2002? Hi, Max. Good to see you, buddy. You know this. You know, Max knows this story. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us from Boise. Max Brown just joined us, so now I have to be on my top game because he's a mentor of mine and helped me along my journey, and so now I got to really up my game whenever I'm with Max. And so I went to his house, met him. In the Super Bowl that year, the Baltimore Ravens won. They won that year. And Art Berg was a consultant for the Baltimore Ravens. He had an in with the coach. How's that work? The coach was Mormon, Art's Mormon, and so those guys just kind of, they knew each other from being in the same faith, in the same church. So Art Berg is a consultant for the Baltimore Ravens. They win the Super Bowl. Art gets a ring, and then he gets some tickets to the Pro Bowl the week before the Super Bowl. So Pro Bowl takes place 1 week before. Where does the Pro Bowl take place? You guys know the answer to this. Where's it at? Every year, almost. It's only been 1 year in the last 10 it's been somewhere else. Where is the Pro Bowl at? Where do they play the all-star football game? Honolulu. Art calls me up. Wait, that's not true. He didn't call me. He came out to the house and saw the elk. It was a family home evening. And so it was family night, and he came out with his wife. We went out and saw the elk, and then he gave me an envelope. I remember this. And I opened it up, and there were tickets there, airline tickets for Shondell and I, and tickets to the Pro Bowl to go with him and watch Ray Lewis play in the Pro Bowl. It was unreal. I mean, I got pictures to prove this is unreal. Art was also speaking in Honolulu, and so we got to see that too. I want you guys to see this. This, I mean, it's almost like if you don't see it, you don't believe it. This is a picture. Yeah, my wife took this. Here's a cool shot. You guys got to check this out. There it is. There's Ray Lewis right there. Can you guys see it? Joe, Kevin, you guys see this? Max, thanks again for joining us. I love you too, buddy. John, look at this. I'll make it bigger. There's Ray Lewis if you look close. There's Ray right there. That's Ray right there, 52. We're watching him practice. And so we watch him practice, and then we go to the game, and then Art and I have a picture taken together. Art was speaking. I want to show you guys this too. I got a cool picture with Art. Here it is. This is a picture of Art right here. There's Art and I. I know it's kind of small, so I'm on the left, Art's on the right. Art was a speaker, that's why his name badge has got speaker on it. I'm trying to make it, it's an old photograph, you guys, that's why it doesn't kind of resonate with, so I apologize, but back then I had some hair and Art's looking sharp. 39 years old, I was 27, Art's got me by 12 years. I watch Art speak, and I never knew that was going to be the last picture that I would have with Art. That picture was taken February 17, 2002. February 7, 18 years ago almost, guys. We're 17 and a half years ago, 18 years ago. February 2nd, I know exactly when it was taken. February 17th, 2002. We went home that night, and on February the 19th, 2002, at 6 o'clock in the morning, that's when I got the call. At 6 o'clock a.m., I got the phone. My phone was ringing. I mean, if your phone's ringing at 6 o'clock in the morning and you don't have kids going to school or missing a bus, there's a problem. And indeed, there was that morning. We got news that Art had passed away. It was Donnie that made the phone call to us, and Art had passed away in his sleep. So there it was, my beacon of hope. Gone. I mean, gone. Or was it? But I want to be honest and real with you. So my hope, gone, demolished. He died. He had an allergic reaction to meds. It paralyzed his lungs. That's what we were told, and he died. I cannot tell you what, I mean, I think I'd rather break my neck again, at least 10 times, than to lose somebody like Art Berg. That must have been how the apostles felt when they lost their Savior too. I wasn't around when the Savior was on the earth, but man, I know what losing a pastor feels like. I know what losing a master. Art was a master of being positive, in my opinion, in my mind, when he lost 95% of his body. I know what losing a rabbi feels like. Art was my rabbi. Art was my bishop. Art was my priest. Art was he was my everything. He gave me hope. He was a beacon of light, and it was gone in a matter of seconds. I was so lost that I went out my front door, and I just started pushing my chair down the asphalt, and I was crying to God, upset, not really understanding why how can he let this happen? How can someone so good? And some of you thought the same thing recently. We've had a lot of good people leave this life, a lot, that have so much more work to do. You've read the newspapers, you've seen the stories, you've experienced yourself in your own life and your own families. Somebody that has so much life left to live and so much left to do, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're gone. Well, that's how I felt, And I start wheeling down the asphalt, and it was like a brick hit me to the face. It's like somebody was talking to my heart, and I can't deny it. There are now some shoes that need to be filled, and I wonder if I could do it, and is it up to me to do that? That was the thought that I had. So, after contemplating for a little while, I went back in the house. I watched Art's take for a little bit, and not the whole thing, just a few minutes. And I read some of his quotes from his book. The book is called The Impossible Just Takes a Little Bit Longer. I read a few chapters out of that. And then I got after it. And that's how you become a beacon of hope. You honor your losses by the way you live your life. How do you become a beacon of hope? It's tonight's message. You honor the things that have been taken away from you by the way that you live and react to those losses. There are several examples of people that I can name. A few off the top of my head. John Walsh from America's Most Wanted. He lost his son. So he started to put people that are engaged with human trafficking behind bars. To date, he's put just under 3,000 people behind bars. Unreal. There's one. How would you like to lose your son? Another one, Bishop Wilson. Some of you know Chris Wilson. I think his first name is Chris. Where he was hit by a drunk driver. His car rolls over. He looks behind and 2 of his 3 children are dead. He notices that. And he looks to his wife and he witnesses his wife take her last breaths. He witnesses that. And right then and there he says, I'm going to honor you, sweetheart, by the way I live my life. I'll take care of our children. And he says goodbye to his wife. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine losing your best friend, your wife, and then turning over to the car, not knowing who's over there that did the damage? It was a drunk driver. Instant forgiveness. He said that, I'm going to forgive you. I don't know that I have that I just don't know that if I have that personality. I would hope that I would, but that might be a little bit out of my reach. The guy that just killed his wife and his children, he said, I forgive you. Only when we forgive and try and live a penitent life can we become that light that Art Berg carried, that beacon of hope. You know, Art Berg has been gone from this life for 18 years now. And I'd kind of like to think that he is living through me a little bit. I hope that doesn't come across arrogant. That's not how I mean it. I just kind of hope that I'm making him proud. I kind of hope that I'm making my wife and my children proud too. And one day I'll have grandchildren. You know, I don't know if I'll be around or not. It's just, you never know what's going to happen. I'm not planning on dying, but you just never know. I hope my grandchildren watch this video, and that, because they're going to go through losses. They're going to have challenges. They're going to have breakups. They're going to have pandemics and crises that they have to go through in their lifetime. Nobody's immune from that. And I want my children to know, as I share this with you, that, and my grandchildren, my posterity, to know that honor your losses by the way you live that loss, by the way you hold your head up, by the way that you walk. Not cocky, not with gaudiness, not with gloatfulness, not with arrogance, but with mercy and hope for a better tomorrow. Because tomorrow will be a better day. You know, it's because of Art Berg that I'm sitting here with you today. But maybe not even that. Had my dad not bought the book and tape 3 months before my accident, I would have never known Art Berg. So now you know the beacon of hope that my father is. So you can be a beacon of hope without even being on a platform. Maybe it's the little tiny things that you and I do every day that we don't recognize that allows us to give light into other people's lives, that allows us to bless the lives of others, that allows us to be that lighthouse when the waves are so rough we can't see where we're going. That's what you and I can do. I hope tonight's message has had some sort of inspiration in your heart that you can do this, that you can get through these challenging times. I don't know what the cure is. I didn't know what the cure is when Art left. But I do know this. When I walk upright as best I can, hold my head high, tomorrow will be a better day, and I can influence the life of somebody else's for the better. God's not going to ask you how many people you influenced. He's not overly whelmed with math, I don't think. God will ask you if you took your challenges and if you honored them by the way you lived your life. He's going to ask me that. And I'm going to have to say, I was pretty ticked a few times, you know. I'm sorry. I said some pretty mean things to my wife. I got mad at my kids a few times. Actually, a few dozen. I said some swear words a few times too. I apologize for that. I played the gloatfulness and I played the arrogance game, and I did it all. I'm really sorry, God. I apologize. But I think for the most part, Heavenly Father, I tried to live what Art and my dad and my wife taught me and what the Savior taught. And if you can say that at your judgment seat, I think maybe He'll give you a ticket in. I hope. I don't know exactly how that all works, but I think maybe we'll get a ticket inside. So listen, I just want to say thank you for letting me have this platform to share and join you tonight and share with you a message of hope and inspiration. That not that I'm an inspiration, but that you can be one. And please feel free to make comments. I see them coming through on the screen. Thank you guys so much for your generosity and your kind words. Go to our Moments That Matter Facebook page. Please go to that. On Instagram, on YouTube. Sorry, when I cry, I cry through my nose. I don't know why that happens. It just starts dripping, and I don't know. I mean, I don't cry through my eyes. It just starts pouring out of my nose, and I don't know how that works. But anyway, it's just boogers. It's just boogers. It's not a big deal. It's just, and so I just use my and it goes away. But I don't cry out of my eyes for some reason. But anyway, when I get emotional, the nose just starts to just flood. So I apologize to you for having to witness that. But with that said, thank you for allowing me to be in this place of vulnerability tonight and honesty and this platform. Go to our Moments Matter. Go to Chad Hymas. We're going to share with you weekly and every Sunday we're on at 5 on Moments That Matter at 5 o'clock on Sundays. And I love this platform and love being able to share with you in this kind of a manner. So God bless you guys, and we will see you all next week. Remember, be a beacon of hope for those that are in your lives. Take care, everybody.